Welcome back to game number 2 between Simon Fraser and UC Irvine. My name is still Blaster Boy. You are still watching the ULoL Campus Series on Collegiate Star League, which just so happens to be on Twitch, one of our sponsors, but we'll get to them in a moment. Let's get through picks and bans for right now. So we got Jace and Camille taken off the table with Irvine and a little bit of a pivot to the Orianna taken away actually by SFU. It's a pretty interesting decision, I feel, as that is something that Demna's performed incredibly well on last time, and they have first pick, so not something that they feel is first pick worthy in spite of that fantastic performance from last time. Really curious to see what they end up going for now, because this patch saw a massive change to LeBlanc and knocked her down multiple pegs. Ryze has also been nerfed somewhat recently, so what we've been seeing a lot in the mid lane in pro play has been quite a lot of Victor, and we've been seeing things like the Cassiopeia as well. So there are certainly still some options, but with these adjustments in the ban phase, UCI not taking the Rengar away for whatever reason this time. They have the same 3 bans as they did last game, if I'm recalling correctly, which is interesting that we don't see any changes from them whatsoever. Rengar gets through regardless, though. Frozen Knight, hopefully on something quite a bit more comfortable for him here. I mean, Vi is his most played, and he performed very well on it in the last game for sure. Don't want to discount that, but 38 games with a 71% win rate on Rengar, it's significantly less than his 88 games on Vi. Granted, a slightly higher win rate, but, you know, Rengar, very, very popular for quite a while now. Very, very powerful, I feel. And we'll have to see how Frozen Knight can perform. Hopefully he doesn't pull an NA Rengar here. That wouldn't be great, but I don't know if those rules apply to the collegiate scene. I guess we'll have to find out. Anyway, hopping over to the other side of UCI, we've got Karma Ezreal locked in this time, so Frostalish is going to take that Ezreal away from Pneumatic, which is great. I am happy to see that because Pneumatic has played Ezreal in the last 3 games that I've casted him in, so it'll be really nice to see him on something different. Varus and Jhin both still open, as Lethality has been taken down a few pegs. The Ashe is still open, still pretty common. Caitlyn is still open, also very common. I feel like there's a few viable picks on the rise. Lucian got buffed this patch pretty significantly. I would say it wasn't a numbers adjustment, but it was just a it smoothed out his animations. It made him much better to play. He feels better to play. His combos flow way better. Overall, he's basically just a better built champion as the game goes on. He plays much more fluidly now. It's a very interesting set of changes, I've got to say, but we'll get back to that if we do see him locked in, which we will have to see here. But Rumble and Syndra were the other 2 lock-ins for SFU, as we see an Ahri picked up again for Des Creighton. I will get his name correct, hopefully the entire game this time, with the Elise going over to Locktran. So not willing to pick up that Kha'Zix again, not looking for the Rek'Sai, nor the Zac, or the Ivern, or no, Ivern's still taken off the table, not looking at the Lee Sin or Hecarim either. Like, Locktran has a pretty deep pool, all things considered. He has quite a few champions with a decent number of games on each of them and good win rates. It seems like stuff he's comfortable on. But we will be seeing a bit of a throwback lane with that Caitlyn Nami. So basically ADCs are just swapping here with the supports remaining the same. Now this top lane pick is the last one. I mentioned this Renekton last time as being a potential counter pick into the Rumble, and it didn't seem like something that SFU was willing to sacrifice. They didn't want to sacrifice having a really good tank line to take that Renekton. UCI doesn't seem to mind that too much, though. UCI doesn't seem to mind that too much, though, as, I mean, we saw them have absolutely no major tanks last time. They had that Kha'Zix in the jungle. They had the Rumble in the top lane. They're perfectly fine with just going for full damage. That seems to be really their wheelhouse to some extent. Seems to be something that they like to, the style that they like to play. So we'll have to see how that stacks up here, as it wasn't so successful for them in that last match. And for the record, regardless of who loses this series, and regardless of who lost that first game, neither of these teams had dropped a single game in any of their matches yet. Both of these teams had 2-0'd their way to this position, guaranteed. And also, UCI is a higher seed than SFU is, just by 1. It's 2 versus 3, UCI versus SFU. But we are running out of time here in our spectator delay, so to fill in the rest of that gap, I do want to plug a few things here before we get too deep into this game. So, firstly, we here at the Collegiate Star League are hiring a social media manager, so if you would like more information on that and would like to get involved with esports, this could be your opportunity. Go ahead and head over to cstarleague.com for more information on that opening. Also, be sure to keep an eye out for the Midwest Campus Clash. $25,000 on the line April 8th at Columbia College in Missouri. The qualifier is currently underway. Type !Clash into the chat for all the info on the Midwest Campus Clash. Also, something I believe I failed to promote last time was Twitch has a collegiate community. If you weren't around a few weeks ago, Twitch launched this new feature called Communities, which allows you to keep up with a variety of different streams in more specific groups than just by game. There just so happens to be a collegiate community, so CSL is a part of this community. You can find it linked down below the stream. You'll see the game that we are streaming, which would be League of Legends, the team, and then the community. You can go ahead and click that link there, or you can keep tabs on the whole collegiate community from the CSL to the rest of the collegiate esports world on twitch.tv/communities/collegiate, or follow at Twitch Student on Twitter. And you can find all of that information down below the stream. Look for the Twitch or Twitch Student logo and click on them to check out what the collegiate world is up to. Now, our sponsors for this stream, as you can see them very well placed on that overlay. We got Band Gaming, the social app, the primary social app of the CSL, with a multitude of different features, including but not limited to creating groups, boards, calendar functions, polls, chats, and call functionality was recently added as well. Go ahead and check them out at band.us or on the Google Play Store or Apple App Store. You can join the CSL Band community and come hang out with us at band.us/@cstarleague. And also want to thank Twitch for being the fantastic platform that you are currently viewing us on and providing so much for the whole collegiate esports community as a whole over the past few years. And finally, last but not least, once again, Asus, a sponsor that we are welcoming back into the CSL family for the 2016-2017 season. They provide absolutely everything esports, from monitors, laptops, routers, graphics cards, motherboards, and much, much more. Be sure to look for Asus when you're looking to build your ultimate esports machine. Now, with all of that said, we're going to throw it to a couple ads while we load in to the Rift here, guys. We will be right back. As you could very likely tell from all of the pings and various sound effects from Super Galaxy Rumble spawning in and spam pings and the spawn sounds and all that, we are loaded onto the Rift, game number 2 between Simon Fraser University and University of California, Irvine. So once again, my name is Blastaboy. You can see my Twitter over there on the left-hand side if you want to go ahead and follow me there. We'll be in the chat afterwards as well, but the objective at hand, the main focus of this stream, obviously, not my Twitter. That would instead be UCI and Simon Fraser, and they gave us a pretty good game one, honestly. UCI, they took a lead early off of their laning, but then individually they kind of fell flat. They had good map play, they made good decisions, even when they lost their lead in the middle, they had Simon Fraser on the back foot. They made some decisions that were kind of weird at first, but they ended up paying dividends for them in the end, but unfortunately not in the form of a victory screen, as Simon Fraser just having superior team fighting, superior individual performances, were able to keep it contained. So we do see a start here. No invades this time from both Frozen Knight and Loctran on these Raptors, so this is pretty much the standard jungle start nowadays. You generally will see Raptors into that buff as the first two camps, so it works pretty well. It's pretty effective in the end. We even saw a cute little bit of a leash from Demnus on that Syndra, who has taken the cleanse, by the way, into the Ignite. Now, it's worth noting that that's likely just to deal with the charm, the cocoon, and the stun from Renekton as well. But it also just so happens to cleanse the damage portion of Ignite. It does not cleanse the grievous wounds, but it does cleanse the damage over time effect. Probably not going to be its primary use, but hey, it does exist. Now, what's interesting here is we actually see Loctran going for his Raptors and then in to steal Frozen Knight's blue. So if all goes to plan here, he went Raptors, took the blue, healed up off of that Scuttle, now taking his red. It's looking like a very successful 3-buff. I don't think Frozen Knight is going to be able to do anything really about that, as we should see Loctran just go straight to that buff from here. But heck, even if he doesn't, he has significantly more health. He has completely full health, as opposed to Frozen Knight ticking red just a moment ago and already having to recall. This Elise walking out with full health mana was already looking for a gank even. We're seeing Goldjet struggle a little bit up here with Tower of God. It's kind of more of just a trade back and forth. It's not really much of a struggle at the moment. They're kind of butting heads, going pretty even. And it's definitely reflected in the farm at the moment. If we look over at the gold real quick, I mean, dead even gold values there, 50 gold apart. Not even relevant. That's 2 creeps. It's absolutely nothing, and that's going to shift and turn every which way over the course of this game being so small. So, I mean, dead even for Goldjet again, and he is on a very solid farming, or I shouldn't say again, solid CS for this for a Rumble again, as was not Goldjet on that last time. And, well, maybe overstepping a little bit here. Going to have to overheat himself. Not able to pop. Oh, no. He wasn't able to pop the Flame Spitter, and he thought he had it. He wanted to take the fight and didn't realize he overheated himself. And then, in addition, Tower of God flashes in and is one auto short. Nomadic trying to turn this around with JJ onto Frostalicious. And they do get a decent chunk of damage down. Goldjet doesn't even heal all the way. Just looking to push Tower out of the lane here. And I mean, it works out, surely enough. He gets him out of the lane. He gets a little bit... He gets a couple items for himself. And I mean, his venture there was successful. That very accelerated teleport in to shove the Renekton out. It worked perfectly fine. But now Tower of God is giving up a bit of CS to not teleport. Now, this might seem like a bad idea, but the thing is, at face value, he's losing farm. Yeah, he's losing money, but how this matchup works out is it's very heavily in the favor of the Renekton. Plus, if Goldjet gets caught out in the jungle by the jungler here, it might not even matter because his jungler shows up as well, and Frozen Knight looking to turn this around. Oh, burning the empowered Q instead of the Bola means he can't get that kill. Bit of an awkward trade where the junglers both show up. Loctran dies, Goldjet dies. They just kind of go their separate ways. Nobody wants to fight anymore. This Creighton even checking out those Krugs to see if there was a reason for Tower of God to move over, but there is not. Frozen Knight backs out to safety, back in his own jungle, even gets pinged out with incredible accuracy. No doubt in the mind, really, of UCI to map that jungle pathing. Now, before that fight broke out, the point that I was trying to make was this Renekton is already going to be dominating the lane anyway, so he's going to be able to equalize at CS very easily, and he's going to make up for it. He's going to keep his Rumble pushed back, and Goldjet's not going to get every single creep just trying to full-on push the wave with a lot of with the AoE of Flame Spitter. You can't get every creep like that. But we're seeing more jungle pressure up here. Goldjet's just playing so patiently. Now finally showing his face in the lane. This is on a knife's edge up top. We can't really see it too well on screen. Just watching the minimap though. This is a game of patience right now. And it looks like Goldjet is going to take home first prize. As he just sits there the entire time. He still doesn't know whether it's safe or not. So he's still going to play back. Look to maybe even leash this blue or something. He wants to do something productive with his time. No, he's just warding, backing off, checking to see if he can spot out the jungler anywhere else so he knows whether he's safe or not. And that wave actually ends up shoving into the turret. So ultimately he's looking to move around the map and see what he can do elsewhere. Pick up that scuttle crab for himself so that he's a little bit safer in the future, and also just so he's occupying his time a little bit, not being completely inefficient. Incredible patience, though, from Goldjet in the end, and it pays off hugely because he would have probably died if he had stepped far enough up for that gank to work out. But he read that situation so well, he knew that the Renekton would have to show eventually. And seeing where the Renekton walked out of the tower to catch that wave, walked out to catch that wave from, at the tower, rather. That just confirmed all of his suspicions about what was happening roughly, and ultimately a lot of time wasted from Locktran. It doesn't really matter a ton, as Frozen Knight didn't take a huge opportunity to look for an invade or anything, but now they didn't get full control of this blue buff. This Creighton, he's here all alone, no mana, doesn't want to burn the flash. Locktran cut out as well. No equalizer available, but it's only a second away. Frozen Knight is here, but Locktran did see him. There's no reason that he should be walking into that. Now the map resets. This bot lane kind of uneventful for the last little bit, but I mean, top lane has been making up for it, surprisingly enough. That's not something you can say about every single game. Very many games, even Locktran, no! Looking to go for the Krugs. A little bit greedy there. Is able to get out with his own life, and well, those Krugs are sacrificed though. Frozen Knight picking up some money there. That's pretty nice to get something like that for your time. Krugs are pretty lucrative if you can clear them quickly. They give like 180 gold or something crazy if you clear every single one. And they give a ton of XP, just a boatload of experience as well. So absolutely the most valuable jungle camp that there is. Probably one of the best ones that you can, well, I guess if it is the most valuable, it is the best one that you can take away at any given time. Because you're putting yourself up 100 gold. If you just straight up passively steal it, you're putting yourself up 100 gold and you're putting them down 100 gold, or like 200 gold each way, rather, not 100. About 200. Regardless, lots of money, lots of XP. But if we take a look at the CS numbers, I mean, it is a 20 CS lead for Frozen Knight, which is very significant in the jungle, especially that he has a good farm lead over his opponent, which is great, and he has a kill to make up for that equalization, or the I guess the equality rather, in the assist column. feeling pretty comfortable. Seems like both of these teams really are. Simon Fraser in a slightly more comfortable position, though, picking up that first blood for themselves earlier and having a kill advantage and some of the CS leads, specifically in the bot lane, actually, and of course in the jungle, like I just mentioned. Neither of these solo lanes are really delivering hugely for them, but surviving is perfectly fine, and Demnus has hit that fantasy point now where he can just one click blow up Descraten from through a good bit of his health. And we saw that get him a kill before with that pick that they found onto him when he overstepped. If that continues to happen, that's going to be huge. Now Frostalicious completely caught out. Got a little bit greedy there maybe. Stepped on a trap. I wouldn't imagine intentionally, but just not giving as much respect as he needed to, I wouldn't say. And now Frozen Knight down here popping the ultimate. He's spotted out, but does it really matter if you're trapped under the turret? Rengar exhausted, temp name blown up, Goldjet arrives, and he gets a kill onto Frostalicious as well, but locked up under turret, having to flash away, going to go down to the dot, almost guaranteed, and there it is, Tower of God, picking it up, Descraten now roaming, flashing forward with that Spirit Rush as well, going to finalize another kill. Frozen Knight is not likely to live through this engage, and he's trying to get the execute, but not able to do it, and that is a 4 for 3 rather, in the favor of UCI. And now the score tied 5-5. What a great fight for them. UCI just pulling out all the stops there, and their response is so much more heavy-handed than it is from Simon Fraser. And that's the superior roaming of this Ahri. She's able to get in the lane and shove it out really quickly, and just she can just leave. She can just leave anytime that she wants. And Ahri, Fizz, Zed, even Yasuo, like there's a subset of champions that are very good at roaming. Talia and Twisted Fate, certainly two of them as well. And I mean that's just a fraction really of the mid lane pool, but it's a very popular chunk of the mid lane pool. All of those formidable roamers, all of those cater to a particular style, and the center just can't really do anything to keep Descraten contained in this lane. The only way he can do that is to put him significantly behind, and the CS lead is there. The kill lead, is now completely gone. In fact, it's Descraten does have a death to Demnus, where Demnus does not have one. Just doesn't match up the other way around exactly, lane to lane. But I mean that roam ends up evening that up hugely. If we look at the gold, it's only 200 now. It was 300 just off of that before, and then it was another 200 on top thanks to that CS lead. So it was about a 500 gold lead we can estimate for Demnus just like 2 minutes ago, and now all of a sudden it is now almost nothing. So it went from decently significant to completely insignificant all of a sudden. It is worth noting, by the way, in case you didn't catch it before on screen, that Frozen Knight was able to solo out the dragon just before he made that play down bottom. So that is a Mountain Drake picked up for the side of SFU. And now Frozen Knight on this ward, looking to get some vision control. We did see Loctran roaming over for a moment. I thought some action was going to break out, but ultimately not the case, as now Temp Name and Frostalicious just getting bullied around by Pneumatic and JJ. Whoa, Frozen Knight diving right into this. Elise unknowingly has to pop absolutely everything, but everybody else throws everything at him. And there's just no time. There's no time. That is no time to be there, and he has no time to do anything except for mash all of his buttons incoherently and still ultimately get blown up, unfortunately. Incredibly greedy Blast Cone there. Absolutely no information on that side of the jungle. He didn't respect the fact that Descraten wasn't there. He didn't respect the fact that he didn't know where Loctran was. And now that could pay off again, although there is a ward for Pneumatic, so they do know that Loctran is bottom. And he will just slip in, pick up a ward, and then walk his way right back out very quickly. Actually going to go back to base, in fact, so... Has 800 gold, will be able to finish that jungle enchant. Yeah, there it is. Runic Echoes, if I'm recalling correctly. What iteration is this even on? Yeah, Runic Echoes, there we go. It's gotten kind of difficult to keep up with all of the jungle enchants because they've reworked all of them at least once. The warrior one never made it to live. Whoa, okay, Descraten getting absolutely destroyed. That is that Syndra level 6, well, heck, level 11 sort of fantasy really coming to fruition there. Just able to one-click Descraten. I'm not entirely sure how that whole thing played out, but we saw really the gist of it in the ultimate result. Now Tower of God looking for the dive up top, and there's no time for Goldjet, even through the flash, to cool down and be able to drop that equalizer. So this is that Renekton paying off hugely, and we saw this lead really come together when he made that teleport down bottom. His was incredibly effective in comparison to Goldjet's, and that was after Goldjet roamed with the teleport first and also got a kill before Tower of God showed up. But he is just such a beefy frontliner on that Renekton. He was just able to deal with everyone that was there. Oh, now Frozen Knight caught on the backside of his dragon take. Jay is very low. Demnus blown up. Frozen Knight sacrificing himself for what? Really? There's nothing. There's no reason for him to go back in heroically like that. There's no one to save. JJ falls regardless. Pneumatic now getting dove. And, I mean, he is on the cusp of turning it around, and Lotran not able to finalize it, but the sacrifice was completely in vain. There was nothing that... He wasn't saving anyone. There was no way that was ever going to be a turnaround. Yeah, he probably would have died regardless, but you can go down being a bigger distraction by running a long distance rather than throwing yourself back in the fire when you're not going to save anyone in the moment. Anyway, though, not going to harp on that too much as UCI. Fantastic fight off the back of a dragon take from SFU, and they get 2 turrets for it, mid lane and bot lane tier 1s respectively. Both end up falling, so now that is a 3-to-1 turret lead. 4,000 gold in the bank for UCI, and this is almost exactly what we saw last time. We saw similar rotations come through, granted not off of any kills. This time they're getting kills, they're taking fights, and they're taking big fights, most importantly, off of their lane leads, off of their roaming, and they've turned that into a gold lead. Off the back of that, they've gotten turrets, as opposed to last time where they just kind of controlled the bot lane the whole time. They got that turret, then roamed, took the mid lane, and on and on and on, all through the map, and then they started taking fights and getting a lot of kills after the fact. There were explosive fights last game, don't get me wrong, but they were pretty much dead even. This game, not so much. That last one, completely one-sided. The one before, definitely sided in the favor of UCI. The last one was completely clean, in fact. They didn't lose a single member for getting 3 kills, so... Still, only 3,000 in the lead for UCI. Not insurmountable by any means. SFU looked great last time, and they came back from the brink of defeat, it felt like. It was a larger lead for UCI just a few minutes from now in the last game, but it felt like UCI had significantly more control as well. SFU is still able to make proactive plays, although all of their teleport plays are kind of completely lopsided, and now Descraten is making this split pushing play significantly earlier, but he is now facing a damage dealer in the top lane. When he's on a split like that, he is going to be facing off against this Rumble most likely, which could be scary because he did show a bit of a lack of respect, I want to say, of that Nautilus last game, where he just stuck around entirely too long and nearly died to a full tank Nautilus while being very greedy on a split push. If he dies like that, even just once, that'll completely throw off UCI's plan for a good minute or so at this point, and that's only going to get longer as this game goes on. Eventually it's going to be a minute and a half, 2 minutes even, and they still need that Ahri to be able to respond. Granted, the Rumble does have to try to deal with the Renekton as well, so it's a dual split push comp. But there are also engage tools even just on the Caitlyn, Nami, Rengar, and they have a significant amount of damage. This is not like last game where SFU had like a Vi. That is an engage tool and she does do damage, but she doesn't do as much damage as the Rengar. You're not going to build as much damage on the Vi, generally speaking. And her kit just doesn't allow for nearly as much damage or pick potential follow-up after her ulti. Rengar has the Bola, the empowered Bola snare to follow up on the engage that he brings with his ult, and then the Nami is also there to follow up, and then the Caitlyn and Rengar both bring their own damage. And I feel like it's a pretty big risk. It's safe. The side lanes are going to be safe for UCI, like almost guaranteed. The Ahri, with proper discretion, is going to be completely fine. This Renekton is going to be fine no matter what matchup he's put into, really, because he's just so far ahead at this point. It's going to be a long while before UCI has to worry about those laners. I'm more concerned, just listing off all of those engage options that SFU has, about the mid 3v3 that's going to happen in its place. That's the big concern, the big sticking point for me. I feel that UCI has to be somewhat concerned about. We do see good vision control from them here, and this dragon is going to be coming up in just a moment. If we hop over to the pit, it is an Infernal Drake coming up next, so that could be the second of this game for SFU. They also have both of the dragons, kind of flipping the script here on UCI in that sense. And they have the first two dragons instead of UCI having the first two. So it's a much different situation overall. This game is much different from the last, even though there are quite a few of the same picks. Even those have been flip-flopped in a lot of situations. The Ezreal is completely flipped. The Rumble is flipped. There is no Ori this time, but UCI able to burn down this dragon with really no issue. Just with one member playing zoning duty, just playing bouncer. That's that karma. Not something you see every day. But able to pick that up is UCI, so they're going to be very happy with picking up that Infernal Drake. And if we pop over to the pit again real quick, see it's a Mountain Drake coming up next, so got a few minutes for that. But that will likely be one of the next big focuses for UCI, really, to push this game much further. It's going to be somewhat difficult for them to get many more turrets, I feel, with this type of composition. So unless they end up split pushing really, really well, which so far SFU has responded pretty impressively to. They haven't lost a single turret during the split push portion of the game quite yet. The dance around mid and between Baron and Dragon coming up in the next few minutes, they have not lost their footing in the side lanes either, which is, it bodes very well for them, because maintaining a gold deficit where it is, even if you can't close it, if you just keep it in the same spot, then eventually it will mean absolutely nothing, and that can be how you come back in a game. That is a pretty viable way to just stall out and wait, and Syndra, Rumble, and Caitlyn will all be benefiting from that. Rengar as well, he gets one-shot potential later on in the game. So it bodes very well for SFU so far. They're just holding their ground. So UCI has to be looking for plays in the next few minutes, I feel. They have to look for something. They have to push their gold lead further somehow, look for picks, get more objectives. The dragons are good, and those can carry you pretty far, but not all the way, as here's a pick coming through from SFU now. Loctran just completely in the wrong position, unfortunately, as Demnus is just lurking in the bush, and this is good off of the back of good vision control from SFU. We saw them sweep that whole top river. They get control just over that wall, poking a little bit into the jungle of UCI when they don't expect it, and they get a pick off of it. Just, it wasn't, again, like I said, I believe it was in the last game now, it's not anything like groundbreaking, anything particularly unique or new, but it's just really solid play. Now Frozen Knight looking for the dive as well, and the faster teleport call comes through from Goldjet. He is going to be here a little bit earlier. Actually, Tower of God just completely cuts that off. The equalizer is not very good from Goldjet. I'm wondering if this Rumble was more of a steal than a real comfort pick. Flash forward from Demnus, and he just deletes temp name. Now Descraten completely caught out, chased away from the rest of his team and his home in the mid lane. As if you really want this Baron now. They realize the situation that they're in. There's no teleport for this Renekton. The Ahri has to back. There's down a member just due to a death. And they're burning this down incredibly quickly. They have an Infernal and a Mountain Drake. The Renekton has to recall. He isn't willing to push this further at the moment. Now he realizes that they're on the Baron. The call is made by UCI. Hey, they are not heading down bottom anytime soon. Get back on that. But it's too little too late. Oh. Whoops. Locktran. That's unfortunate. But anyway, SFU. One good pick. All it takes. And very close to getting some other picks. And teleport canceled, I feel, was kind of weird from Tower of God. He would have been in an awful position, granted. But it was right on a wall. He could have just sliced and diced his way out of there, flashed out if need be. Instead, he doesn't show up, and he doesn't commit fully to the push. He still had everything. He may have, if he had stayed, he would have risked them moving down and getting caught. They had every tool in the toolbox to be able to get out of there, and then that wasn't even the case. Now Descraten overstepping onto Frozen Knight. Really wanted that kill so desperately. True Shot Barrage comes through, but just not connecting with the right target. Frozen Knight gets out in the end, and now able to reset back to base. Temp Name chunked, has to go back as well. Tower of God just lurking in the bush here on the side. Now, oh, now spotted out on a ward. Going to get chased away. He's going to get zoned off here, so he can't even assist his team. And with this Baron buff running, SFU are in a fantastic position as they drop mid tier 2, and now they're going to look for a big push top. They've got the vision control here. This is what we saw from UCI last game, where they controlled the vision of the top jungle in order to make a move there. But this is a great decision from UCI to just look for a push instead. The recalls are quick enough, though, and this is a 4-member recall. They realize that they're going to have to take a 4v5 fight if they want to protect this turret, and they save it, but only for a moment. Now Locktran locked up. Equalizer cutting across the entire team. No ADC. Now Descraten falls, and Tower of God is going to get locked up. Trades back onto Demnus, Pneumatic, and Goldjet, and Frozen Knight. All that stands between UCI and a very free inhibitor. They are going to be able to hold the line for now, but this dragon will be attempted instead, and it's going to be decently safe, I feel. The health bars are low, but they burn it so quickly. Nobody could possibly respond in time from the side of SFU, not with their recalls. Not with the decisions that they made to make sure that nobody died, basically. Completely fair decisions. But I love that response from SFU. They realize that UCI is going to be able to outpush them. They have the big advantage. Even with that Baron buff, they only really have one member that's particularly good at taking turrets, and that is the Caitlyn. They're not going to be able to outpush. They're starting one whole turret behind, and that wave is going to take time to move. And that is really the biggest hit that they would have ended up taking there, is that wave would have taken so long to get from tier 1 to tier 2 that the inhibitor would have been open and likely almost gone by the time they got onto that tier 2 turret. And it was only going to be downhill from there. So instead, SFU, they take what they can get, they pull back, they take the fight, Baron is gone. But they still have an advantageous push here, with a big teleport coming in from Renekton on the backside. This could be huge, but he gets instantly stunned, and now he's found out by the Rengar ult, locked up. Does Creighton flashing forward, but not able to finalize any kills. He's going to get blown away. Now Loctran caught out in the front lines as well, and this is awful for UCI. All of a sudden, it just flipped on its head. There is just no way that they can do anything in that situation. The awareness from SFU was incredible there. That type of flank that far away very rarely fails. And generally, if it fails after the flank has been executed. It failed after the fight has started, but this time they didn't even get to start it off right. Tower of God just pushing forward as much as he can in the front lines. Not quite able to do it. Good turnaround, double stun from Demnus. He actually has that unleashed power again. Oh, he's looking for Frostalicious here. Oh, they're trying to bait him in. He doesn't see Demnus in the pit. He knew where he wasn't. Not where he was. Oh, he walked back up. Oh, this is so close, because if he walks one step further forward, in any of those instances there, he is just instantly going to die if he gets stunned. Demnus was ready. He was ready to just flash that wall and very skillfully press R onto Frostalicious and just completely blow him away, but not quite going to work out in that way for SFU, but they still end up getting a huge gold swing in this game. Now they are the ones that are 4,000 up. 13-13 is the kill score. Exactly even in Dragons. Now one ahead in turrets. And a 4,000 gold lead for themselves as well. Oh, potential fight unfolding here. Frozen Knight, he had that CC cleanse queued up. This Creighton actually is able to eat the ult with that Zhonya's Hourglass. Now Frozen Knight flashing forward, looking to finalize the kill onto the Ahri. He gets it. Equalizer dropped. And it is in a good enough... It did a good enough spot to catch Frostalicious for a moment, but not enough to get them that kill. Renekton is all the way around back again. This didn't work out super well last time, but Frostalicious is getting exploded here. Goldjet puts himself into that Hourglass, keeps himself safe for a moment. Frozen Knight is the focus, but he has a GA and they're not even able to finish. They're not even able to finish him off. This top inhibitor is now open. Frozen Knight really just has to deter this duo of Frostalicious and Tempname, but instead they're not going to go for that inhib. Instead, they're going for the Baron. And this is incredibly dangerous, but their ultimates are coming up soon. Demnus is going to be respawning 2 seconds. He's about 20 or so seconds away, but he has the unleashed power. It doesn't even matter. They burn the Baron in a matter of seconds. And SFU, it looked like a really risky call at first, but they are confident in their damage. And if nothing else, that is definitely something that they can deliver in. Not that they're not delivering in just about every other metric as well. This game is looking so great for them, and they are looking for, oh man, I think this might even be their 4th sort of comeback victory in a row. I don't quite recall. I think I'm confusing it for another team, actually. There was another team that seemed to play from behind that I just casted somewhat recently. I think last week. As well, but SFU, anyway, they had their leads last time, they had their fun, and this game, they take a few hits early, they're on the back foot, but then, that is when they seem to perform best. They've been able to punish the mistakes of UCI. And even if it's just a single kill, even if it's just 2 kills, I kind of said that backwards, but you get the point. Even if it's the smallest advantage that you could possibly find, SFU finds it eventually, and when they do, they suddenly spring into action and they know exactly what they can do, and they are rock solid as a unit after that. Look at their roaming here. Their decision top lane earlier was great. They go for the Baron instead of the inhib. They could have gone for the inhib, but they knew that the Baron would enable them to get that Elder. They knew that the Baron would enable them to get more inhibitors that are more difficult to take later. And that's where they're looking to spring into action now. Suddenly, they're looking to push down this mid lane. No, it looks like gonna change their minds here, and seemingly look top. And they changed their minds again. They look like they wanted to roam top and go for that open inhib, but they decide against it. They're gonna fall back, grab that wave. But instead, actually, oh, what are they doing? They're going back and forth here. I feel like they should look for this advantage while they have this fairly small window. It's only half. Their Baron buff was halfway expired by the time they got that Elder, and Elder doesn't last all that long either. If we hop over here, yeah, Baron is 3/4 of the way gone. They've gotten absolutely nothing with it except for the Elder, and the Elder's almost halfway expired as well. But it looks like no, they will find a more advantageous push. They want to take that pressure from they want to get what pressure they can from the easiest source, and then use that later to be able to get further objectives. They want to take this top inhib because it's open, and then they want to use those supers. They want to work with that wave and weave that into their siege in the mid. And they might even be able to get a pick here as Desecration. It's actually a bit overextended. No, he gets out. He is fine. He was a bit overextended. He ended up in an awkward spot. Had to take a very long path to get back home. But he does make it back in the end. As Frozen Knight, yeah, he's out on the hunt for Desecration, but they see him in the end. And again, path of least resistance is chosen here. SFU going bottom. Alright, we are back once again. So, as you just saw on screen a moment ago, about a minute ago now actually, SFU did pick up that bottom tier 2, so path of least resistance, like I was saying when they were pushing in for it, that was the easiest objective for them to take. They had a huge lead. They could have gone for something more difficult that could have netted them a larger advantage, potentially. If they had gone for that mid inhib, they could have easily transitioned that mid inhib into the top inhib as well, and then had that bottom lane pretty safe for themselves. But it's a much larger risk. You're putting yourself at a much larger risk when you're going that far into the enemy base. You're taking a much larger risk when you're having to actually bring a wave with you, when you don't have to take a wave to take the inhibitor that's open up top, really. You can. That certainly helps and makes you feel way safer, but you don't need one. You're not reliant on the creeps getting there to be able to take the objective. And that's something that Desecration and Frostalicious are really delivering on right now. They're delivering in wave clear. That is the one really big metric they're both delivering in. And if we look at the farm, granted it is pretty far overshadowed, specifically in the bottom lane between Pneumatic and Frostalicious, in the favor of SFU, but regardless, there is a lot of farm on the side of Desecration and Desecraton, rather, and Frostalicious. They are just constantly poking away at these creeps, shoving the waves out, and just doing all the work that they really can to keep this contained. We see Tower of God pushed up pretty far, up past around that tier 2 mark, actually, keeping those supers as far out of the base as he can. So that's not an issue for them in the coming seconds, should a fight break out or an objective be presented. That's this Baron. Now coming up in only 15 seconds. This could be a big point of contention for sure. And Baron now live, all of a sudden. SFU, this is their element. This is where they've delivered so many times before. Down below half, locking the jungler out. Locktran stunned very far away, even just a step off of the equalizer. That was very solid. Frostalicious taken incredibly low, and a flash bubble attempt from JJ, but is not quite going to connect. Frostalicious nearly dies to the flash engage from Frozen Knight as well. He gets out with his life miraculously. But there's still going to be quite a lot lost. Look at where the supers are in the top side. They're all the way past that inhibitor onto the Nexus turrets now. And who's really going to be able to back off and deal with them? I guess Frostalicious can, but it's going to take him a little bit to deal with those. Fortunately for him, there is no wave, and that also slows down his back timing quite a bit. He can't go back to base if he's busy dealing with the minions. And he does heal fully, just off of his own lifesteal, off of his own merit. And that's a stun onto Desecration though, and that is the engagement. They're looking for the bubble and Tidal Wave to follow up as well. Tower of God is going to nearly fall, just barely limping away as the inhib response. Frostalicious caught out in no man's land. Equalizer dropped the red carpet, laid out bubble to cut him off, and that is secure in the grasp of SFU as they crack the mid lane, they break the top lane, and they bring the Baron buff with them. And it looks like they're going to be bringing the Nexus down with the 3 members of UCI. Both Nexus turrets fall, and that is the 2-0 for Simon Fraser University. What a series from them. They pulled out all of the stops. They were on the back foot 2 games in a row. They were seated lower. They had every right to lose this series or struggle. And they did struggle, but only early on. That game was long, and the first game was somewhat long as well. It wasn't clean, it was not easy, but they didn't know. They weren't entirely sure of what to do early on, to some extent. They just falter in their lanes just slightly, but then from there, they punish mistakes. They pull it together, they make good calls, they know the Baron inside and out, they know their damage, they know how quickly they can take it, they know the exact openings, and they read the situations beautifully. And this is a very different SFU this time, even though they also 2-0'd last week. It was ultimately a very major skill mismatch rather, for them, that they ended up just kind of stomping their way through that entire match. In the end, this time, again, it was another 2-0, but it was much more hard fought. It was much more inspiring to see SFU perform that way than the showing that they had last week. I am personally much more confident in their ability to perform later on in this series. There's not much time left. I mean, that was the round of 4. They are into the finals right now of the Collegiate Star League ULoL Campus Series. This is it. Their matchup is nearly decided, if not decided outright. Oh man, so with all of that said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Please, if you are interested in more collegiate action, go ahead and follow us on Twitter at CStarLeague and at CSLLOL, and I believe those should be linked down below. Go ahead and hit the follow button on the top of the Twitch channel so you can be notified when we go live with more ULoL action further on in this year. Like I said, we're getting towards the end. There's not a ton of time left, but there are some more matches to be seen. So keep an eye here. Keep your eyes locked on our Twitter. And be sure to check out our website for all of the scheduling and bracket information that you can wrap your head around. But for now, my name has been Blaster Boy. I want to thank you all so much for watching this series tonight, and I hope it was an entertaining ride with this solo cast. Go ahead and check out my Twitter. You can find me on Twitter, and I will link it in the chat right now. Oh, I screwed up. There it is. That is my Twitter there in the chat, guys, at BlasterBoyLOL. Go ahead and follow me there if you would like. Again, CStarLeague and Collegiate Star League on Twitter and Facebook, respectively, and at CSLLOL for the League of Legends specific Twitter. I want to give one final plug to everything that I said here earlier on. So we are still hiring a social media manager. If you want more information on that, go ahead and head over to cstarleague.com. That will give you all of the information that you need, significantly more specifics than I am able to provide for you here on stream tonight. Keep an eye out for the Midwest Campus Clash. Teams will be competing for $25,000 on April 8th at Columbia College in Missouri. The qualifier is already underway. Type in !Clash for all of the information on the Midwest Campus Clash. And also, Twitch has a collegiate community. The CSL, from the CSL to the rest of the collegiate world, Twitch has created a community page for viewers to keep tabs on all things collegiate esports. You can find that at twitch.tv/communities/collegiate or follow at Twitch Student on Twitter. Finally, I want to thank one last time our sponsors in Band Gaming, the primary social app for the CSL. Twitch, the very platform that you are viewing us on, and the ones that so graciously provided us with that collegiate gaming community so you can keep tabs on absolutely everything happening in the collegiate scene. And finally, Asus for providing a ton of different hardware implementations, a million different computer parts and different peripherals and everything that you need to get your gaming off the ground. So with that, we will close out with some ads. I once again want to thank you all so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy. And that is going to be it for us at the Collegiate Star League tonight. Have a good night, everyone.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
thought they could keep me down, hold down.